school right now, the generation gap is just crazy. You know how much a lot has changed. Social media has taken control of our lives, and we don't even realize it anymore. We're crippled because of it.
That's absolutely right, Nick. Because, as you said, you know, nowadays it seems that you get rewarded for failure. You know, for the life of me, Nick, I can't get my head around that. Perhaps I'm just getting old and morbid, I don't know. I just can't get my head around how you could be rewarded for failure.
She's on Easy's full works plan for iPhone. She gets Apple Music, Apple TV Plus, and Apple Arcade. All for 24 months, all with UK's best.
That's right, I have Apple TV.
The 62-year-old mother of two, married 37 years, will now oversee 20 million citizens, a $1.5 trillion economy, all still recovering.
Okay, so that was just a little video from CNN, which I thought for a moment that was like playing here. I am sorry. I am evidently the Susie Backer imposter, to quote Nigel Farage. So that was a little technical mistake there. Oops, sorry. Anyway, it was kind of, though, discussing like the right story. I've already talked about Afghanistan, which is, you know, huge. It's like the story possibly of the entire year. I mean, maybe, you know, coronavirus being, you know, like the number one, but like Afghanistan's definitely like possibly the thing that's going to like define 2021. And I discussed that in a double bill. I've also discussed the whole story of, with a slight drive-by about HS2, because that's just a topic I've done to death over and over again. But, you know, very disappointing development there. And also a disappointment development in Scotland, where, to my view, the two secessionist parties have made a deal to be more secessionist. Especially disappointing considering one of them is the Scottish Green Party, which should be the party that's like, hey, yeah, we have a climate emergency, and a way to deal with a climate emergency is international cooperation. We have proof of this. But no, they're pushing for independence for Scotland because reasons, I guess. But, you know, I asked what you thought about this, and you can write all you want, while I'm just going to go and speed on over to what I promise will be the last discussion. The last time I'm going to sort of like really hyper focus on it, but 3 times in a row I've been fascinated by this whole story. It's the state of New York. That's right. The state that Frank Sinatra sung about in basically every song. New York is to have a new governor. I've got a little story from CNN, hence where the what was at first the mystery audio played from. If you didn't hear the mystery audio, then you would have seen me for 30 seconds being bemused and quizzical for no reason. But anyway, the story is New York Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul, will become governor of New York after Andrew Cuomo announced on Tuesday last week, mind you, not this week, that he will resign in 2 weeks, next Tuesday, basically, following the state's attorney general's investigation. He found he sexually harassed multiple women. Hochul will become the state's first female governor and stands to inherit a political landscape that Cuomo dominated for more than a decade. She will also assume office at a time when New York is fighting a resurgent coronavirus pandemic and the fallout over Cuomo's departure. It's, love to see it. It's good to see sort of Cuomo being, made to go away, because I never liked him, and he was just a deeply kind of unpleasant person in 1,000 different ways. But there's a couple of reasons why I've decided to make this like the last segment, and why I'm kind of having this kind of last, kind of swing at this story. First of all, was the fact, I felt kind of bad that like last week I didn't mention the fact that the next governor is going to be the first woman to be the governor of the state. Kind of cool, let's be honest. And also really poetic, that the first woman to become governor of New York does so, after the sexually harassing sex pest, basically, of Cuomo resigns. That's, there's poetry to that, and I like it. Full 5 stars. I also feel like bringing it up and discussing it more because Kathy Hochul will inherit the way I've been finding myself thinking about it, and the way I've been finding myself like discussing this story has been she's got this on hard mode. Why do I say hard mode? Well, I've got MSN for this, quoting The Independent, and it is Hurricane Live. Andrew Cuomo declares state of emergency in New York ahead of Hurricane Henry landfall. Hurricane Henry has strength. Henry, by the way, spelled with an I, in case you want to look it up. Storm Henry has strengthened to a Category 1 hurricane and is bearing down on Long Island, New York, and southern New England. It is expected to make landfall on Sunday, say forecasters. The upgrade in status was released by the National Hurricane Center, who put out a warning of heavy rain, wind, and flooding. Henry was traveling further westwards than was originally expected and looked on track to hit eastern Long Island. New York hasn't had a direct hit from a major hurricane since Superstorm Sandy in 2012. And this is going to be a big one. The first one that people were talking about was like Hurricane Sandy in 2012. It was really memorable. There was just like videos of branches like flying around the streets of New York, huge heavy rains, the usual kind of like destruction and anarchy from this storm. That was 9 years ago. This one is not an once every 9 years storm. I was talking to someone who is like basically a historian of sort of New York state history, and I asked him like, so what's like the kind of like strength of this hurricane that's coming? And the first thought was like, it's gonna be equal to the storm of 38, which is like the kind of set of numbers you really do not want to hear when you're discussing, oh, how strong is the storm going to be? It's like, yeah, it's gonna be like that strong as that storm from like 80 years ago. Like what? Yeah, the one that like destroyed everything. It was like incredibly destructive and ruined the state for ages. Yeah, no, that hurricane. It's going to be comparable to that. And it's going to hit New York City too. Not just, upstate New York where, there's less people. No, it's going to hit like the city itself. Oh boy. That's I'd say spicy, but honestly, I think the water's going to kind of drown out the spice. I personally have got like, every kind of like concern for the people of that state. I actually have family in New York, uh, and I really, really hope that they've boarded up for this huge storm, this hurricane that's coming in. There is no reason to think this is going to be, some kind of light, oh, we can ride this out type affair. It's going to be huge. But the sad part is the realization that it's going to be huge. But then when's the next one? Because you see, you might say, oh, but it was like 1938 and then 2021, it looks like it's going to happen. So, we can kind of predict that maybe, there's going to be there's some huge superstorm hurricane in New York, at some interval. Problem. Think of climate change. One of the predicted things of climate change, which we've been seeing more and more in action, is more frequent and more severe, big, heavy storms, rainstorms, thunderstorms, hurricanes. More of those, more often. So I'm looking at Hurricane Henry, and I'm thinking, okay, that looks like an absolute apocalypse coming in to the US. I really hope that New York gets to, shelter down and not be too damaged by it. But then when is Hurricane Henry with a Y coming? Will it be in 2000 and 2121 maybe? Is it going to be 2080? Will it be 2038? Well, what if it's 2024? The world's climate's been really getting screwed. I kind of feel I've been kind of made to feel bad that I didn't report on it because there's lots of other stories going on. I made the editorial decision, but there was a huge climate change warning that came out from the ICC, basically saying a message we've heard at this point 1,000 times over, but bears repeating every time, that climate change is coming on faster and harder than we expected. And it's possibly already too late to reverse the damage. This huge thunderstorm, which now the new first woman governor of New York is going to immediately have to deal with. I mean, good luck. It's happy that Cuomo isn't the governor, or will imminently not be the governor anymore. It would have been a really hollow, awful thing to have a governor, making the usual state of the nation speeches, if you will, talking about the problems of his state, when everyone's going to still be looking at him and go, but you're a sexual harasser, go away. So it is fortuitous that the first female governor is going to have to be there instead of Cuomo. But you can't envy that. Kathy Hochul is going to be coming in to be in charge at the most make or break time that can possibly be thrown on a politician's laps. Good luck. And good luck for the future. This might not be the only one. But what do you think? Let us know in the comment section of the the live stream. I've been enjoying the show, and I will have to say, because it is the end of the show, slight apologies that we're running late. I had something that came up today, but I'm really grateful that the studio's been very accommodating and understanding that I have this thing called a life, and sometimes that life interferes with my my Sunday politics shows. But thank you very much for listening to The Happening. My name has been Jorge Shaft, and you are now up to date with everything that has happened in this past week. Don't be like Nigel Farage and being paid or being trolled to say all the sussy Among Us memes in like a weird, oh, I am the robot man who is saying these words that I do not understand. And I hope you have a good day. See you around.